I'll recite the beginning two prayers and then Lata will do the Shanti part of PurushaSuktam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram.
Hari Om. I'm going to give it a try. Okay. Om Tacham Yora Vruni Mahe Gatum Yagnaya Gatum Yagnapataye Daivi Swastirastunaha Swastirmanushebhyaha Urdvam Jigatu Bheshajam Shanno Astudvipade Sham Chatushpade Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
We together invoke that Supreme Paramatma through our thoughtful, right actions and interactions with the world. May you guide us in spite of our shortcomings to Swasti, a state of ease and balance. As we partake in the medicine of life experiences, let us be open. May our mind not be a stumbling block, and may we learn and grow together through these experiences. May you shower your auspiciousness, not just on all humans, but all creatures as well. May we transcend all obstacles and attain peace, serenity, tranquility. So far, we have finished 3 mantras, and I'm just going to recite them and then summarize them for us as we progress forward. Om Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasrakshas Sahasrapat Sabhumin Vishvato Vrutva Atyavishtat Dashangulam Purushaye Vedagam Sarvam Yadbhutan Yacha Bhavyam Utamrutatvat Seshanaha Yadannenaatirohati etavanasya mahima ato jayaguscha purushah pado osya vishva bhutani tripadasyamrutam divi. So this first section is all about who is this Purusha. So when we see these first 5 mantras, what becomes evident is our idea of who we thought Purusha is completely shattered, right? What we think all these days, Purusha, man, no. This is Purusha, starting from that supreme cosmic being, Satchidananda Brahman, who then became aware of the powers and then started manifesting this subtle matter, energy, and then this manifest universe. Everything is included in Purusha. This manifest universe that we see is called as Virat Purusha. So everything is this Purusha. Nothing is excluded. There was only one thing in the beginning, and only from that one thing has come everything. So when that becomes more and more our understanding, our vision has to change. That becomes a deep understanding in us. So what was said so far is this, that this Virat Purusha is the countless heads that you see, the countless sense organs that you see, the countless organs of action that you see. That means wherever you see anything with life forms as beings, that is that Purusha alone. And not only that, the Purusha pervades everything and transcends everything, not just what we see as creatures, but so much more. Everything is being pervaded, meaning it's in and through everything. And then not only that, what was in the past, what's right now, what's going to come in the future, again, the same essence in everything. And then not things which you might think, oh, humans. No, 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 not just humans. Even plants, animals, creatures, everything's included, plus inert things as well. Stones, rivers, space, air, pervading the whole thing is this one Purusha, because only from that can come this manifestation, not only the consciousness, life principle, but also matter, energy has come. So we really don't have any arguments with science as far as matter and energy is concerned. We depict it, our rishis have depicted it in a very pictorial, descriptive manner, which was how they could sort of envision it, but it's in no way in conflict with science. So, you feel Vedanta has no conflict with anything. That's the more beauty of it. We accept. So you say that, okay, that's fine, because we also have sort of the same understanding. So everything has come from that Paramatma. That Paramatma is limitless, is the understanding, exists in everything as well. So not when we study this PurushaSuktam, not only should we understand the meaning, what it conveys to us, but always see how can it connect to me? What does it mean to me when I understand and when I make it my wisdom? It's not just an ancient hymn to be recited at certain times, right? One way of looking at, as we saw this Purusha, all the explanation of what this Purusha is, actually, what can I translate it into my life as? If everything is from that one source, if this is becoming so clear to me, then we have to live with compassion towards everything. Now, in this compassion, don't neglect yourself. We are also included. So to nurture our physical personality, to nurture our emotional personality, to take care of our intellectual personality, and most importantly, our spiritual personality, us, very important. Then only we can express in full measure to everything around us as well. So, and when we say, how do you express compassion towards others? Not in, exercising control, things like that, no, but acceptance, being a good listener, and clearly understanding, like every one of us, just like we want to be happy, so too do all others and everything. This is the practical implication of understanding the infinitude nature of that Supreme Purusha, in whom you and I are not excluded as well. We are included too. So a very practical tip for us to take home as we contemplate on this nature of the Purusha, which is further elaborated in the next two mantras as well. Okay, so this is these first five mantras explain to us the vision of the Purusha. So somebody please unmute, whoever is going to repeat after me. Tripad urdhva udait Purushaha.
कृपादूर्ध्व उदित पुरुषः
आदोऽस्येह भवात् पुनः
पादोऽस्येहाभवात् पुनः
ततो विश्वं व्यक्रामत्
ततो विश्वव्याक्रामत्
ततो विश्वं व्याक्रामत्
ततो विश्वं व्याक्रामत्
शासनानशने अभि.
शासनानशने अभि.
Okay, so what else is this Purusha? This Purusha, Tripard Urdo Udait Purusha, it said, what you see is just a minuscule part of it. This Tripada, 3/4, 1/4, no, just so that we can get some comprehension, because we cannot imagine infinitude. All these are just words to convey. Really, there's so much more of this Purusha. So it says Tripard Urdhva Uday Purusha, means this Purusha is 3/4 of it is unknown to us, beyond our understanding, and untouched. Just like, many waves may rise in the ocean and go, many rivers may come into the ocean and flow into it, it remains unaffected, untouched by all this. Like that, Paramatma is untouched by all this. And then Padosya Iha Abhavat Punaha, whatever you're seeing is 1/4 of this Purusha. It's coming as his creation, and then ultimately dissolution once again comes. This is just recycling material, is only a minuscule part of this Purusha. That's all it's trying to tell us. The matter and energy which is coming over and over again is just a minuscule part of it. So much more is not known to us. So much more. And then, so this Tato Vishwan Vyakramata means, and whatever is coming, appearing again and again, is this manifesting as everything here. All these forms, these plants and trees and stones and minerals and everything else, including us humans. This Purusha is as though pervading into all of that, this minuscule part of this Purusha. So it is said that this, in one of our Upanishads, a very beautiful term is used for this. It says, Tat Shrushtva Tad Eva Anupravishat. It says, after having created this entire universe, cosmoses and everything, it itself has penetrated into everything as well, as though has entered. Meaning that Supreme Consciousness, as though has entered, entered into everything. It is like, whether we build a house and we enter into it and own all the problems of the house afterwards. It's like that. It's as though like that. A Supreme Consciousness, nothing happens to it. So all living beings, all inert things are pervaded as though by this one truth. That one truth is everywhere. So Paramatma has become all this, is so much more beyond all this, is untouched by everything. All that we see, all that we experience, all the information that James Webb Telescope is bringing, or whatever further discoveries that we make and get information, everything is a minuscule part. In spite of there being so much of things happening, that Supreme Consciousness, that Purusha, untouched, unaffected, right? Now, this is, again, a very deep, important point for us to reflect. Yes, right now I'm this individual, Shashi. Right now I'm the whatever age I could claim myself to be, whatever birthday I had, whatever relationships I've had. Yes, presently I'm that. But look, even in us all is that one Supreme Consciousness. Giving this body life right now, right this second. This Supreme Consciousness, which never leaves me, is already me. And therefore, what? Not only is this great Purusha I'm worshipping right now is untouched, in me too, there is this essence which is untouched. Untouched by the vagaries of my mind, untouched by changing intellectual ideals, untouched by whatever is happening to this physical body and whatever will happen, untouched. This is a very, very subtle and important point for us to reflect, because the more we can get connected with that, even in life as we handle situations, we can balance, we can remain unaffected by the tossings and turnings that happen to us in this world, in this participation of life. So we should recognize that. We should recognize that I, this Jiva, I'm also that same Paramatma. What I recognize as this individual right now, and no, that's not just me. Please, I'm so much more than all this. All this. So we'll go to the next shloka. Mantra, I shouldn't call this shloka. Tasmad virada jayata.
Tasmad virada jayata.
Virajo adhipurushaha.
Virajo adhipurushaha.
Sajato atyarichyata.
Sajato atyarichyata.
Paschad bhumimatho puraha.
पश्चाद्भूमिमथो पुरः.
So I'll just repeat this one more time. Tasmaad virada jayata virajo adhipurushaha sajato atyarichyata paschad bhumi matho puraha. So what is this supreme consciousness, existence, Brahman, that infinite truth, right? From that came this Virat, meaning all that you see. That from that supreme cosmic being came this cosmic, thing that you see everywhere, this cosmos, this Virat Purusha, everything was born from that supreme Brahman, right? That itself is everything. Again, repetition for us. It shines. Shines means it's expressing life. When we hear this word, Brahman is Jyoti or Atman is Jyoti, there's no Jyoti sitting there, light, as we think. Meaning it is evident as consciousness principle, meaning anything that you're doing is because it's already there. Shines as speech, shines as somebody who's talking and acting. That means it's evidence of that consciousness, right? All these incredible, innumerable variety that you see is from that Paramatma alone. And even this thinking, these ideas, all that is happening in each one of us, again, because of that supreme consciousness. So everything is this. Virajo Adi Purusha. Then this Purusha has become all the life forms of this earth that you see. Sajato Atyarichata. Now every type of, if you want to call it devatas, but remember we talked about them as the lawgivers or the law of enforcers of the forces of nature. So the wind blowing in certain way, we say there is a devata for that. The fire behaving in such a, we say there is a devata for that. Sun shines in this manner, keeps the same behavior. Like that, there is devata for it. Surya devata, Vayu devata, Varuna devata, Agni devata. All are making sure that each of those natural forces are, behaving as they should. There's no change in that. Not only these devatas, but we humans, all animals come into being. From one totality has come all these individuals as well. And then, well, all of them came, the forces of nature came, devatas came, but we need a dwelling place for that. Oh, don't worry. Paschad Bhumi, that means this Bhumi, this earth, this conducive Mother Earth, so conducive for all life forms, was also put in place. So not only were the elements were created in the subtle form, slowly when all the movement happened in the cosmos with all the rapid energy, expansion, collision, everything happened, molecules started forming, matter came together, as science would say, okay? Also came this beautiful Mother Earth, as you and I know it. That Bhumi was also formed. And then also came Mato Puraha. Puraha means a city. What city? Who constructed cities? Are, your physical body is compared to the city, Puraha. Because this, just like you see in a city, there'll be, roads and parks and schools and libraries and all kinds of things. These 7 ingredients created this physical body as well. That was also from the Purusha. Made up of skin, flesh, fat, muscles and blood vessels and bones and bone marrow, everything came from this Purusha alone. The rishis understood everything as they sat in meditation, made their mind so quiet, identified with their supreme nature of consciousness. When they were identified, everything became clear in their thinking. There were no barriers. And because the thinking was so clear, they were able to make these discoveries. Like our scientists right now make such incredible discoveries because their mind is so focused, so quiet, that they get these thoughts, and then they're able to put it into, action and bring some things out of it, create things. Now, for example, Isaac Newton, right? He was sitting with a very quiet, undistracted mind when he understood the law of gravity. This is what it's, important thing. The rishis also understood all these things. Has to come from one source. That means everything has come like this. This is happening inside me. The same thing is happening in the world in an infinite scale in this universe. That they could understand. So they said everything's come from the same source, even the flesh and bones in my body. That Paramatma has, if it's the same source, that's where everything has come from. So very pictorial description of this, a whole thing now being created. Now, how did he, this Supreme Purusha, if you want to call it, he or it or whatever, pardon me, if you want, I can use the word she if you want, but at this point, let's use the word he because it's been ingrained in us, okay? But it has no gender. That's the bottom line. Infinitude, consciousness cannot have gender. And we all have that infinitude, Supreme Brahman as Atman in us. Okay, so anyway, now what happened? These great forces of nature, the Devatas, and they were noble souls, they looked around, their hearts were filled with gratitude, and their mind was so quiet, undistracted. They wanted to admire and worship this ancient Purusha from whom everything seems to be coming. And so what did they do? They did a yajna, it is said. Again, we'll see what that yajna, what it is. So you all, again, to refresh, the first topic was Purusha, which you have just concluded with these 5 mantras. Now comes the topic of yajna. Okay, what is yajna? We'll see. And then what is the result of that yajna? We'll see as well. In the PurushaSukta, Purusha, yajna, srishti, samaja sangatana. Right? 4 things. So Purusha first manifested things, had to do all that. First of all, he had to sacrifice all the material he owned, everything, the energy that he had to manifest everything if he has to become everything. And then therefore that becoming everything is this creation. And in that, a social order also for smooth functioning of everything is indicated. Now today we'll see this yajna idea in good detail. I hope I can cover that today. So in the Vedas, if you see Vedas, there are several things. The mantras, lots of prayers in praise of God. Okay, mantra portion. Then there are what's called as Brahmana portion, where there are lots of rituals are prescribed. And then you have the Aranyakas, where there are meditations, and along with that, there'll be Upanishads, which is the knowledge portion. I'll tell you, 99% is action-oriented in the Vedas, 99%. Because that's what we do every day. So how can you do harmonious actions? Are pointed out, depending on our personality, we can choose. So beautiful it is. Just for our peaceful existence, so many things are prescribed for us in the Vedas. But why are you doing all this? That is in the Upanishad. To understand my true nature, how do I understand it? And then bring it out into the world. That is the Upanishad, very small fraction. Because most of us are action-oriented. Most of us are, at this point, a lot of extrovertedness is in us. How do I capture that extrovertedness to help me on the path of understanding my nature? That is given in the Upanishads, but most of the Vedas, please remember, it is for a dharmic life, active life, dharmic, active life according to our personality. So now this topic of yajna will come. What did these devatas as though do? Okay. They said in their minds, right, this topic of worship came. Okay. And understanding that that same truth has sacrificed everything for our existence. Now the creation has to move forward. Okay, it's just if air, fire, and all were there, and their lawgivers were there, that's not enough. It has to manifest into more, as though you imagine this. Okay, so by this principle of sacrifice that the Purusha is setting us, he is making us also become aware of this. That we humans, we have to also sacrifice and serve if we want to make sure that this whole living here, life on this earth, is going to be in a peaceful way. We who can think, who can exercise our free will, should also learn to sacrifice and serve. This is the most important message. But okay, Devatas, you thought of, doing this yajna, but where is the material coming for you? Huh? And really, did they all sit around and start doing swaha, homa, idam namamama? Did they do that? Or what exactly was this yajna that they did? What was the materials that they used? What came further? All these things is sort of, again, let's understand. A yajna, when it is done, right, it is a fire ritual. All of us know these havans that we have seen it. People sit around a havan. They establish this trough with either bricks, or they put a metal trough in between, and then they start a fire there. The sacred fire is set, and then everybody sits and does a lot of prayer as they do offerings. And actually, in the olden times, this was always for a common welfare. Everybody came together, and some brought materials, some set up the things, some, everybody worked so that it would be for the common good. So everyone contributed, right? Total dedication was there. And as they did that, they didn't pray, give me, give me, give me. They said, for everybody's happiness, for the country's prosperity, for the welfare of the world, may there be rains, things like this. It was a common seeking for common welfare, not for, this is a yajna. So now let's see what these devatas did. Again, it can be, you can also imagine that they're sitting and doing some yajna, havan, or it's actually a mental worship. So please repeat after me. Yat purushena havisha.
Yat purushena havisha
Eva yajnamatanvata
deva yagnamatanvata
vasanto asya sidajyam
vasanto asya sidajyam
grishma idhma sharadhavihi.
grishma idashvara
It's okay.
swaradvavihi
Idhma sharadhavihi.
idma sharaddavihi
Yat purushena havisha deva yajnamatanvata vasanto asya sidajyam grishma idhma sharadhavihi. So what did they bring for sacrifice? How did they do this yajna? What were all the things that they used? Or is it really that type of a worship? What was happening? So all of us remember, this is when the universe is just beginning in its infancy. Okay. So it's not like all the things that you imagine were already there in place, but it might have been just a mental offering as well. Mentally, whatever was available, whatever they could, see was going to happen or will happen, they're doing this so that the creation can continue. So all of the devatas, whoever, or the fire, air, space, whatever existed at that time had come from that Purusha. So in order to carry on the creative process further, they're doing a sacrifice or a worship. They are praying. And the materials that they use for that, we'll see what did they do. These devas, yajnam atanvata. These devatas were so, their mind was so clear, very pure, nothing interfering. They started a yajna. They performed a yajna. And what did they do? Purushena Havisha. All the things that have come is from one source. So, and we know for yajna, you need fire, you need ghee, you need offerings, and finally a sacrifice as well. When you do purnahuti, right? So everything has to come from that Purusha. And then here, let us also understand this beautiful meaning, yajna, which will indicate that everything is Purusha. Now, Sanskrit language is just one of the most fascinating languages. And it's the more you understand it, the more clear becomes our thinking. And not only that, we can understand it in various contexts and be very accepting of that meaning too. So that's the beauty, because, you know, the word Atman, I'm just telling you, Atma is used for a physical body sometimes. Atma is used in the sense of physical body, sometimes that supreme truth in us, sometimes the jiva, so many things. So now let's see this beautiful word yajna. Yajna comes from the root word yaj. Yaj means to worship. Yaj means to sacrifice. So yajna, that's the root word. So there's this yajna, root word is yaj, to worship. And then yajyate means this act that I'm doing. When I sit down and I do this act of worship, that also is called yajyate yajna. Then who do we worship? Maybe it's, Indra, Varuna, Agni, or Ganesha, or Shiva, I don't know, whatever havan that we're doing. And so even the one who's worshipped is explained by the word yajna when you break it and say, yajyate anena asau iti. The one who's worshipped in many ways, this altar of devotion, this God is also called yajna. And then the one who's sitting here and doing this yajna is also called yajna. Yajati aham yasya yajna. I'm conducting, aham also yajna. So everything is included in this beautiful word, yajna. Again, you see, to us, it should right away connect with what we're studying. Everything is this Bhagavan only, in different manifestations. That's it. So they did this yajna. And what did they use? What is the material that they use? It can be with the help of this Purusha alone. Where else can we get anything? Nothing belongs to us. Vasanto asya sidajyam, it is said. So the ghee that they offered, because you need ghee for ham, is the spring season. And now don't imagine, how somehow they brought the spring. In their mind, the spring season was most conducive for performance of yajna to obtain materials. And I'll tell you in a second as well. So they used the spring season. And then they also made use of this summer season. They made use of this fall season as well. Grishma, Idma, Sharad, Havihi, all the, whatever twigs or branches, and then some grains that they had to offer. It was summer. It was the fall season, autumn. That's what they said. So they use ghee as the spring season as the ghee. They use the summer season, the fall season as all the havihi, all the offerings. So you see, just when you think about it, in the spring season, fresh green grasses everywhere. The cows feed on the grass, and then plentiful of milk is given, abundant ghee is available. Right? So yes, in a way, that ghee in their mind was a spring season. And then, of course, in the summer months, everything dries up because of the hot, hot summer months. No rains, right? What happens? So lots of twigs and branches are available, the dried wood that you need available. So the fuel was the summer months. And then the crops and harvest, of course, in the fall, you start harvesting everything. So the offering of grains, you get that, you offer that. Everything is done with the help of this one source, this Purusha alone. So you see, the devotees who came first, these devatas, in order to further the creation with a very quiet mind, mentally they said, we are worshipping you. This Vasanta is the ghee that I can offer you. this summer season is when I can get plenty of the fuel to start that fire and keep that fire going. I offer this summer months to you. And then in the fall, there'll be so much of plenty of grains that I will offer to you. So everything is coming from that Purusha, and everything belongs to that Lord alone. So I offer everything that has come from you to you. Huh? To you. So it's a very, in Vishnu Sahasranama, actually, if you come towards the end, there's a very beautiful verse which says, Yagna, Yagno Yagnir Patir Yajva Yagnyango Yagna Vahanaha. Yajnantakrit Yagna Guhya Manna Mannada Evacha, it says. But that Yagna indicates everything is Vishnu, they say there. So in PurushaSuktam, it is a very pictorial description. In Vishnu Sahasranama, everything is you. What are we talking? Everything is you, Bhagwan. We understand that. So that is the attitude which they started this further sacrifice to further creation. Okay, this is the idea that we should get in our mind. Okay, next. Saptasyasan paridhayah.
Saptasyasan paridayada.
Trisaptasamida kritaha.
Shri Sapta Samita Kritaha.
Devaya Yagnyantan Vanaha.
Devaya Yagnantan Vana.
Vanaha.
Vanaha.
Abadhan Purushan Pashum.
Abhaddam Purusham Pashum.
Oh, so they had 7 people helping in this yajna. Okay, there were 3 priests, 3 assistants, and witnessing son. It could be the 5, the 5 elements plus, whoever is the presiding deity. Anyway, there are 7 people who, and the sun as a 6 people, and the 6 forces of, a part of nature, and as though the sun as well, witnessing this universal yajna that's happening. And they needed different types of wood as well. Trisapta samida krutaha. So they say 21 types of sacrificial fuels were used. Meaning all of that had to be brought in to further creation. You needed the time factor with the 12 months and the seasons, and because everything has to be conducive. And not only this world, there should be heaven and a patala loka for everybody to experience whatever karmas they do. And the sun, various interpretations are given in various texts, if you see, commentaries. But it can also mean our 5 sense organs, 5 organs of action. So that makes it 10. And then the 5 elements as we know it, that makes it 15. And they in their subtle forms, which is, air, space, what before they became what we know it as, those 5 elements as well, subtle elements. Plus also, they say that sometimes our antakarana chatushtaya is taken as 1. That means our mind, intellect, ego, as well as the memory are taken as 1. So 21 can be an offering of the devatas to the fire as, fuel. Again, all mental, pictorial understanding, because they want more and more to happen, and this creation, as we know, should come into existence. And what did they do? At the sacrificial, every yajna, if havan, will have what is called as purnahuti at the end of it, meaning dedicating everything that we have to the Lord. In those days, they would say, we'll have a sacrifice. And actually, they would tie an animal at the sacrificial post. It's called yupa, and they would tie that, right? But it is, who is this sacrificial thing here? It says, abadnan purusham pashum. That Purusha himself was tied to that. This great Lord from whom everything came, that itself was tied as a sacrificial animal. No, again, imagine, this is not what it meant. It meant, that Purusha has done all this sacrifice. Who better can be the ultimate one showing us how to sacrifice? That's all. So now you see, in the Vedic times, yes, they would have a symbolic animal standing there as the sacrificial animal, but they would let it free. They would let it free, and that animal would be taken care by anyone who happened to be the person or the whom it would come to, and they would take care of it. And in our times, when we do Havan, when the whole thing is completed, we stand up and say, this is Purna Ahuti. And what is that really symbolic thing is, the biggest Ahuti that we have to do and get rid of is our individualist ego, our own animalistic tendencies, which make this world not a happy place. That has to be sacrificed. So again, very symbolic. Now, this whole sacrifice, you see, is a ritual. You just look at it as yajna. Somebody's sitting, somebody's chanting mantras, somebody's offering things into this fire. Yes, that can be one way, okay? But it is also, in our mind, we can understand, Tera tujhko arpan, kya lage mera? What belongs to you and me? You think about it. Truly, what belongs to me? So really, Bhagwan, whatever mentally, whatever I have, you're just offering it to that Bhagwan. That can be another attitude, mental worship. Ritualistic, yes, they might have had all these and they might think of seasons. These great people might be thinking like that. But in our mind, we have to think this ultimately, whatever we have belongs to that Bhagwan alone. So what are we actually, giving to that Lord? And as we do even this ritualistic sacrifice, we're saying, Agnaye Swaha, Agnaya Idan Namama, Agnaye Swaha, Agnaya Idan Namama means, Lord, you take this doesn't belong to me. And what doesn't belong to us? This I-ness that I hold on to. I. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Hare, please, let's sacrifice that. It's a sense of possessiveness which makes us so attached and causes a lot of trouble. So that is also Yajna Bhavana. In so many ways, you can see that. We worship you alone, Lord. Everything belongs to you. Nothing is ours. Therefore, I offer to you. And then, so this worship is of prayers and sacrifice. Sacrifice. Okay, it can be taken as, think about it. For an example, your child is celebrating Mother's Day of, it might be one of those. Now you see the child has come from you, right? We are the vehicles through which the child has come. And then what else? The child is going to ask you for money to buy a gift. From whom? From you. So some money they've collected, but it's come from you. And they go buy a gift, and what do? They give it back to you. So this whole thing is a cycle. So here, but the cycle can continue only when there is yajna spirit, when there is a spirit of sacrifice and service. So this is very important. So you looked at it as a ritual. We looked at it as a mental upasana to give up our possessiveness, but you can actually elevate it even more. Bhagwan, if you alone are all these things, the altar of worship is you, the material is you, the one who's worshipping is also you, means there is no difference. There is only one. Even this individuality is gone. Even this individuality is gone. I understand, Bhagwan, that you alone are everything. So you merge yourself, it is said, in that totality. I'm not separate from you, Lord. Nothing of this universe is separate from you. We are with you every moment. We are you ultimately. This is the feeling. So you look at this yajna in different ways, at different levels, as a karma, as you offer, giving up our ego, our possessiveness. Ultimately, where, what? Everything is you. This individuality is gone too then, gone. So, this, as I said, these 4 topics have to come to us, translate it in our lives. So the Purusha, we looked at it as, let's bring this utmost compassion out in our life. Right? Now, this yajna should be immediately an indication for us to sacrifice and serve. The next topic, which will come, is of creation, should make us ecologically smart and aware. That awareness to take care of things around us in this environment should be a natural thing, not told, celebrate Earth Day. And every day should be that. Every moment should be that. When we see this creation, the next topic. And when we come to the Samaja Sangatana, it is our dharma to do our duty properly and contribute properly to this, harmonious movement in the society. And that will help us in our individual growth. So today, again, I think we'll focus on the message of this yajna to us, this sacrifice and service that should be brought into our life. So I told you what ritualistic yajna meant, but why they did the yajna. Common good. That's the bottom line. Welfare of all. Welfare of all. No personal mind there. And so we look at it, yajna, in several ways, where our journey from here to the totality oneself can happen. First is it will make our mind quiet. Slowly we'll start identifying with larger and larger numbers. What are the factors involved in this yajna? How can we learn from the greatest example in front of us, staring at us from nature? How do I see that supreme everywhere? And finally, really, you think you're serving somebody? Who serves whom? And ultimately, you see, God becomes our own slave. And how can you do that? That's so beautiful. Let's see that. You and I can't stay even for a second without acting. Even for a second. And good, because action is a sign of life. From morning till night, we're acting. But we studied the Gita. We all are aware of what Lord Krishna told us in the 3rd chapter. He said, do only your obligatory duties. Niyata karma, nitya karma, and naimittaka karma are called as niyata karmas. Obligatory duties, occasional duties which come to you, that's all we should focus on. It'll not only prioritize, it'll simplify our life. And then with what attitude, that's important. What duty you should do, what should be our attitude is the message of Karma Yoga. That we have to do our very best to the task at hand, to the person in front of hand. That is dedicating to God. Don't think dedicating to God means, Krishna, I offer it to you every second. You can't do that. Doing your best at the moment, at the task at hand, in your duty, as well as keeping the person in front of you as the most important person, and grateful for the opportunity to do your duty should be the attitude. That is Ishvara Arpita Buddhi. And then, believe me, none of us have any control over results. So when results come, if we have done our best, accept it as prasad, no complaint. Whatever comes, I did my best, you'll be at peace. That is the Karma Yoga attitude. Okay, this is the action that we do. This is acting in the yajna spirit. And then, you know what, we'll realize we have a perfect environment around us. So we can grow, we can polish ourselves. So do our duties joyfully, right in the place where you are. Our mind becomes quiet. It's getting ready for our spiritual growth. And then just working for me is not good. Yajna is an act of worship, surrender, sacrifice, service. Means I cannot be selfish. It cannot be just for me, just for my, initially, yes, okay, for your little family, that's fine. But it has to expand, right? That selfish motive should be dropped. And when you're working for only your family, our reach is limited, right? Achievements are also limited. But when we say, I want to serve more people, I want to do something in society, I want to do something which will be of some benefit to others, you see then how your strength grows. And the altar of yours also grows. It is like you're suddenly empowered to do Some big things, like for example, an ambassador of a country, when he signs a document, he is representing all of us, this whole nation. And you can do this yajna, meaning this selfless service, at all levels. Start at home, in your workplace, in your community, in the society, nation, work. You can do so much. But selflessness should be the bottom line here. What is it in for me? I promise you, you will be included. We will be included in this. So don't feel like, oh, I'll miss out. You will not. Okay. Then what are the factors that you have to do, keeping this yajna spirit, right? We have to work and give the best. Give the best. Keep your mind where the hands are. And the attitude, as I said before, dedicated to the Lord. You dedicated to the Lord means doing your best in the moment. Don't worry, because you'd be unnecessarily dissipating energy. So this efficiency is very important. Very important. So you're not doing something in a selfish attitude. And my goodness, Bhagwan has said so many things already in place for us to keep as an example. Whether it's the sun shining, whether it's the rains falling, whether it's the rivers flowing, whether it's the tree bearing fruits or flowers, and nothing they keep. And no, they are making no demands, no looking for appreciation. They are just fulfilling the role that they have supposed to do. Everything is in the service of others. So this, through beginning of creation, the spirit of sacrifice and service has been brought into existence. We humans are the only ones allowed to work in freedom. And if we disobey, we are responsible for the discord. And then what happens when you start developing this vision, especially of this understanding of this Purusha, anything that you're serving is serving God. Anything you're doing for others is serving God. And you see, as you watch people, every moment, action, interaction, everything is that Bhagwan alone in an invisible form, but working in a visible form. Not the moment are we away from that Lord. We become really efficient instruments. That is how we express our true nature through everything. And in the end, you realize, if you're serving anybody, it's the same self in everybody. I'm serving the totality myself. You cannot divide infinitude. Huh? Understanding that there's no difference, is the same Purusha, then our consciousness, our thinking, everything becomes expansive. Divisions vanish. All these days, what we'll do, we have to make an effort. I have to join this organization. I have to go somewhere to help others, not just for myself. So it's an effort right now. But when I realize this oneness, everything is spontaneous. Everything is spontaneous. Our love, our service, everything is spontaneous for the sake of the world. And now you see, whatever we have is Bhagwan's gift to us. But what we do with what we have is our gift to him. When you give gift to somebody, they feel a little obliged, don't they? Oh, why did you bring this? Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So then they feel like gifting back something to you. Now, if you give something to God with his whatever he's given us, God he's become the recipient. So now he feels like he has to give back to us. No, I'm just saying we've received so much deep gratitude. God will take care of us. So we should serve everybody with this yajna bhava, sacrifice and service, irrespective of caste, creed, color, belief, behavior. Even a wonderful person or somebody who's behaving like a monster, through everybody we're serving the Lord. And such a Lord means Bhagwan truly takes care of everybody. Om Tachayora Vrunimahe Gatum Yajnaya Gatum Yajnapataye Daivi Swastirastunaha Swastirmanushebhyaha Urdvam Jigatu Bheshajam Shanno Astudvipade Shanchatushpade Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.